So a couple people have asked me who do I have in the Canelo versus Crawford fight. I don't have anybody. I've never even seen. I don't even know who Canelo is. I think he's a Hispanic dude that looks like an Irish guy. I think he has reddish hair. He looks like. I've never watched him fight, and I have no idea what he does or what his legacy is or why he's so special. Because I haven't watched boxing since like I was in 3rd or 4th grade, to be honest with you. I was, however, listening to the press conference, and just to give you an idea, most of you that watch MMA or UFC or whatever know that how the media is basically like implanted different companies started by the UFC pretending, or they're companies that they have a relationship with it's kind of like Fox News and Trump, kind of, where it's like, you know, we're not going to ask any difficult questions. Well, this guy got up and asked, you know, you have any plans on amending, you guys said you had plans on amending the Muhammad Ali Act, which is good for boxers. I'm not going to get into the logistics and the boringness of all of it, but it was like Dana White is so used to getting asked these little, you know, little birthday cake questions, I'll call them. It's like he's just so used to people being on his side, which the real, real reporting really doesn't exist. But these people were asking him questions that were like, this guy asked him like 4 questions. If you look it up, I'm sure it's trending now, Dana White boxing, or Dana White Canelo Crawford, press conference. But no, I'm one of those people that I haven't. Looking at this like I'm on. I haven't owned a television in a long time, and there isn't really anybody that I know in the boxing. I mean, I know who the big tall gypsy dork is. I know who Deontay Wilder is. I know Tyson Fury's brother, I think, Tommy. I might know him if I seen him, like, with a shirt on that says his name. I don't really follow boxing. It's not really that exciting. I never watched the Conor McGregor versus Mayweather, that fight. I watched the highlight, kind of, which there were very, very all right, lady. Okay, I appreciate your help. It was very unhighlightical. I don't believe that fight brought in that much money or sold that many pay-per-views or anything like that. I think that's all bullshit. But I guess the UFC or whatever, they've been meaning to get into boxing for a while. And I guess somehow Dana's involved. There's also a podcast called The Goats, which is a horrible name for a podcast. It's like Shaquille O'Neal, Dana White, some other dude, and some other, I don't even know, but Shaquille O'Neal has the most abysmal fucking voice. It's borderline almost as bad as mine when it comes to like people wanting to hear it and calling it the goats, like, the goats of what? You know what I mean? Bro, you're fucking 7'9" and you played basketball. Well, obviously, I would hope that you were pretty fucking good, you know what I mean? That or painting houses, I don't know, but I don't know. Anyways, Canelo versus Crawford, probably Canelo if it isn't fixed. Everything's so fucking janky and fixed. I remember reading the headlines in the morning before the internet was even a thing. I remember going to bed as a kid, waking up to the newspaper was on the table in the morning before school, and it said, my dad must have brought it home from his job. It was like right off the press, and it said Tyson loses to Buster Douglas, and I was like, what the fuck, are you kidding me? Even as like a 2nd grader, and I just could not believe Mike Tyson got beat, you know what I mean? But I just, I was just listening to a podcast about Harold Howard, the MMA History podcast. I'll put a link in there. I do enjoy their podcast. Talking about a guy named Harold Howard from Canada, right across the bridge from where I grew up in Buffalo. Harold Howard fought in UFC 3. And I miss the spark of those UFCs where the guy wore like a glove and you didn't know what the fuck they were going to do. There was all these fake records like Hickson Gracie's 0-300, 300-0 hasn't been. Bro, come on, you've never lost. Anybody that says they've never lost a fight is full of shit. But, the danger and not knowing a guy showing up in, like, fucking karate pants and a tank top. And his combat is Sanjo with some other bullshit, or Wang Chung Ching, and he's fighting a Russian ninja, and the weights were all over the place. I really like, and if you're a young kid like myself, go back, look at some of these UFCs on YouTube. Where the fuck am I going? I believe so. Go back on some of these old UFCs and watch them from like start to finish, and you'll watch, see Joe Rogan call Vitor Belfort Victor. Watch Tank Abbott, watch Paul Varlins, Oleg Taktarov, Hoist Gracie, Shamrock, Severn, just guys that, like Vernon White, Frank Shamrock. Just watch it, and then just guys that are from like Cayuga Falls, and he's a house painter by day, but at night he's a blah, blah, blah specialist in Filipino knife fighting. It's like, I don't know, I kind of miss, shit doesn't feel like that anymore to me. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the thrill or the like, there's no Easter egg that you're looking for now. When you get to a certain age, shit is kind of just... They take something special and they fucking exploit the fuck out of it. It's like WWF, whatever it used to be, SummerSlam or whatever their thing used to be, their big event, whatever it was called. You would just go, wow, that sounds exciting. Oh, with special guests, Bon Jovi and fucking Cyndi Lauper and Andre the Giant. You're like, what? You kidding me? Cyndi Lauper, Dad? And Lou Albino, or Bano, or Albino, as I used to call him. I don't know. I don't really, Canelo, he's probably a fucking talented boxer. I don't know. It does nothing for me watching his highlights. I listened to a little bit of Crawford on the MMA show. A guy named Joe Rogan hosts a podcast. It's a guy that used to be a dorky, like, dude. And he was on, like, some show I've never seen called News Radio. He's also on a really cool show called Fear Factor. Fear Factor was pretty good. Joe Rogan was awesome on Fear Factor. Don't get me wrong. Joe Rogan is 150% the greatest combat. And, as far as MMA, breaking that shit down, he is the best at that. But he's also a guy that has this... He's like fantasy role-playing in real life. Like, if you, on them video games, when you can design a fighter, and you can, like, pick tattoos and, like, strength. And he looks like a dude that designed himself to look like a UFC fighter, And there's just one little thing that he's missing that every person that stepped foot in that octagon has that he doesn't have, and that's heart. Because I don't give a fuck if you're CM Punk and you go in there and they lock that door. Just think about just getting into a regular fight is heart pounding and, your nerves are all over the place. Watching somebody do that and they're closing the door in front of all those people, yeah. You gotta have fucking heart. And that's just something, you know, you can train, you can kick a bag, you can be the best and jiu-jitsu person in the world. I believe there's a lot of fake black belts out there in the UFC. It seems like everybody's a black belt. I don't know how everybody in the UFC is a black belt when it takes like 10 to 15 years to get one, but everybody's a black belt. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Jana Lisa, she's fighting out of Cedar Rapids. She's a black belt under Hugo Chok Chok, and she's been fighting for 2 months, and she's been a student of his for over a year, but she's a black belt. It's like, get the fuck out of here.